So it's that time of year again. And this morning I'm heading out to Moraine Lake with a company called Via Moraine, and they're actually picking me up from here. This is the Legacy Trail parking lot right here in Canmore, and it's a great place to be able to leave my car for a few hours for free. And in fact, they do pickups from all over Canmore and Banff, which is awesome, and that is great for a couple of reasons. For me this morning, I've come in from Calgary, so it saved me a hell of a lot of driving. And in fact, if I was staying in Canmore or Banff, they would pick you up directly from your hotel, which is pretty incredible. And secondly, the best thing is I can leave the driving to someone else. So when that bus arrives this morning, I'm going to jump on, sit back, relax, have a bit of a nap, and wake up at Moraine Lake. So I've just received an email from Via, and I thought I'd show you this because it's pretty smart. There's a link in that email, I've clicked it, and I have a live pickup status for all the shuttles that are on their way. So I can see that my pickup is shuttle number 3, I can see my driver's name, and I can also see that it's 7 minutes away, and the first pickup they're doing is the lodges at Canmore, and then they're going to come and grab me, and then they're going to do a few other pickups after that as well. I know these buses aren't super big, so what it means is there's not that many pickups. Even though there are lots of pickup options, you're only going to do 4 or 5 pickups on your bus before you head out to Moraine Lake. But yeah, that's really smart. That's definitely stopped me worrying. I can relax now and wait for the bus to turn up knowing I haven't missed it. So that was a pretty pleasant little ride in the end. Even gave us a little blanket on the bus to help keep you warm, and a blanket you can take with you to watch the sunrise. I ended up using mine as a bit of a pillow so I could have a nap on the bus. And they also gave us coffee or a hot chocolate in this sort of keep cup, in this insulated cup. Now, like, these are reusable, I got to give this back, but that's awesome to have a proper hot drink whilst we're out here as well. And I'm not just saying this, like Via Moraine did give me a lift in today, but they haven't paid me to say anything, they haven't sponsored this video, and they haven't asked me to say anything particular at all, but I was genuinely impressed with that ride in. It's a better service than a lot of other shuttle companies offer, I think, and that live update system on the pickup is fantastic. It's really good to know that the bus isn't late, it hasn't missed you, it's just picking other people up on the way. But unfortunately, Via Moraine do not control the weather, and unfortunately, it's pretty snowy and socked in right now. It's been a strange little spring here in the Rockies, and I'm in two minds about this weather. In all honesty, these aren't conditions you get very often at Moraine Lake, right? It's often in the middle of summer that you're here, rare to get this much snow, so got to kind of maximise that opportunity because it's conditions that you don't get very often. But what is really wild as well is that I had friends here probably 3-4 days ago maybe, and they were talking about how much shoreline there was available, right? The lake was really low, and you could go all the way around the front of the Rockpile over there and sort of explore compositions. Over the last 3 days, it's rained a lot here in the Rockies, and the lake level has increased quite dramatically. So now there's no shorefront, everyone's up on the Rockpile. It's pretty busy up there. It is very busy on the Rockpile. It's the best viewpoint for sunrise, especially if you haven't seen Moraine Lake before. But I spotted something from the top there, and a composition that might work a little bit better in the snow and in these gloomy conditions. So from the top of the rock pile over there, I spotted the canoes. Now this time of year, the canoes aren't really in use, especially this early in the morning. But what they do offer on a gloomy day like today is a really nice bit of colour contrast. Like the pop of the red and the orange in this image, I think is going to work really nicely, even if we're not getting many mountains in the background. What's actually really nice about being at Moraine Lake right now is because that cloud is so low and we can't see any of the Valley of the Ten Peaks. Those normal images, those normal compositions of just pure reflection and turquoise water aren't really available. So I'm actually thinking a little bit further outside of the box, and it's actually pretty nice. I'm going to end up with some images that I've not had before, some pretty unique ones even for me, and it's a great thing as a photographer to almost be a little bit more limited sometimes, because then I'm not shooting the same old thing, right? Obviously, I think if you were on your first trip here, you'd want clear weather and beautiful reflections. but I think I might get some good shots here, some things a little bit different from usual. And I'll just show you this little composition I've set up by the Canoes here. Like, as you can see here on the back of the camera here, is I've just got the mountains and the clouds in the background and the trees on the other side, all sort of in mist here. So it leaves a bit of mystery as to what's above. And then I've made a point of keeping in the reflection of this canoe on the right-hand side here, but then cutting it off a little bit before we get those kind of unattractive poles and parasols that are on the side. And then I've got my set of canoes here on the left-hand side as well, just to sort of balance it out a little bit. One little issue that is arising with this that you might not necessarily think of is the canoes are moving a little bit. Quite often on a gloomy day like this, I want to keep my ISO lower and I want to use a longer shutter speed instead, just to get the sort of best quality image, especially when it's locked off on a tripod like this. But to make sure those canoes aren't soft, I'm going to have to shoot with a faster shutter speed. So I am bumping that ISO up quite a bit so I can keep the shutter speed a little bit faster. So I'm shooting at about 1600, which won't be too bad at all. Like if there is any noise, I can kill that with Lightroom in a flash. But hopefully that will freeze those canoes in place. And then if I want to, I can also shoot a longer exposure to get rid of any rippling. But right now it's not too bad. And then I could combine both those images together. But I think a single frame will do it. And I think in all honesty, that little pop of colour amongst the sort of gloomy snow and that little fresh snow sprinkled on those canoes over there, I think that's going to be pretty nice. Let me know what you think. So hopefully that's one shot in the bag already. You might just about be able to see over here that the sun's sort of creeping in and the clouds are lighting up over that side. And it is clearing up a little bit over there as well. That's the direction behind the rock pile. That's where the sun sort of rises and comes from. And if that burns through the cloud, it will cast some light on the Valley of the Ten Peaks, on those main peaks behind Moraine Lake. And that's kind of what you're always hoping for. But there's a lot of cloud at the moment, so I'm not sure if that will happen, like I said. On the way out here this morning, it was pouring rain when we were driving out in the bus. As we were coming towards Lake Louise, it was raining a lot. And I'd seen the forecast before and I knew it was either going to be raining or if it was just about cold enough, it would be snowing up here. And I did think that snow would be pretty cool, right? If it's dumping snow, that would be awesome. But if it's just raining, it's not a great time to be here. And I almost cancelled coming up here. I thought to myself, and even on the way up, I thought I'd have to come again and refilm all this and shoot on a different day. But then I thought it's probably good to show you guys what Moraine Lake looks like on not a perfect day as well, right? You see loads of pictures on Instagram of perfect reflections and people standing in front of amazing sunrises. But more often than not, it's like this. The weather's pretty unpredictable in the Rockies. It can snow in June. It's the 6th or 7th of June right now, and it's snowing and it's about 0 degrees. So you need to be ready for anything. But I think there's still great photography to be had here, even if the sunrise isn't going to be that good. For a second shot here this morning, I'm actually concentrating on the cloud cover on the top of the Valley of the Ten Peaks, on the left-hand side of the peaks, because that cloud cover is coming in and out. It's covering the top, it's sort of halfway down, it's in between the mountains. I'm just going to spend a bit of time keeping a bit of an eye on it so that when those clouds part enough to see some of the detail of the rock face behind, I can capture that. And I think that will end up looking pretty nice. So a couple bits of advice for you if you are coming down to Moraine Lake for some photography. I'd highly recommend giving yourself a little bit more time as well, right? I think I keep saying it in lots of different videos now, but staying longer past the initial sunrise. Like this morning, there was an option to leave here at 6 a.m. and head to Lake Louise, but I've chosen to stay till 7. I'm staying a little bit later. And I'm glad I am, because it just gives me the time to wait and watch the cloud movement and try and get those extra shots. And if at any point that cloud does clear behind me, that's still going to be pretty good later on into the morning. The second bit of advice is obviously to wear a lot of layers or bring a lot of layers. As you can see, the weather is unpredictable, like I mentioned. And this is the start of June, it's cold and it's snowing. So don't turn up to Moraine Lake first thing in the morning or anywhere in the mountains assuming it's going to be warm. Bring a puffer jacket, bring a raincoat, bring everything you might need so you can actually spend a lot more time standing around and waiting for those moments, those fleeting moments to get some good images. So the weather is clearing up a little bit, so I'm going to make a bit of a dash to the top of the rock pile here. I think I've got about half an hour until my bus leaves to take me back to Canmore, so I think it's going to be worth it. Worth going up there to try and get that sort of classic reflection shot if I can. If there's some nice light, it's still relatively soft, so hopefully it's okay. I have got that picture in the past. I'm pretty lucky to have visited Moraine Lake multiple times over the years, but it's hard to resist, right? You gotta go and give it a go. And let's see if we can get one before I need to leave. So it's 8 minutes to, so I'm a little bit against the clock in this last little image, but you can see I'm up at the main viewpoint. This is the famous viewpoint where the picture for the $20 bill was taken. So it's definitely one of the most popular ones, but right now it's actually cleared out. I think a lot of people come here for sunrise and then sort of disappear quite soon after. But the light is coming in and out on the view, you can just see here. We're not getting a perfect reflection by any means, but the light's coming in and out on the peaks and also hitting these trees on the side. And because there isn't much of a reflection, I'm not too worried about trying to include the top of it. So what I've decided to do is I've popped on a 10-stop neutral density filter. And as the light comes in and out of the clouds and illuminates different parts of the peaks or different parts of the trees, I'm capturing multiple images. So that just gives me a few options when it comes to post-production, right? I can choose to combine as many of those together as I want to get light in different places. So it's a little bit different. I'm loving the snow on top of the trees, on the canoes down there, and has a tiny bit of reflection in the lake. Like, it's definitely not perfect, probably not the best image I've ever got from Moraine Lake, but it's still pretty good. That's all I have time for today. I have to run back to get the bus. Hopefully it doesn't leave without me. I think that was 2.5 hours, or even 2 hours I had at sunrise. I thought that would be enough time, but I suppose there's never enough time for sunrise at Moraine Lake. You could stay here all day. Maybe next time I'll book myself onto a later return. But back to the bus it is, and time for another little nap on the way back to Canmore. As always, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you on the next video. But in the meantime, be sure to download a Canadian Rockies photography location guide using the QR code on screen or the link in the description below. And go on, watch another video.